AVI-8 are back with another big pilot. This one gets a camo dial. It's obviously very inspired by the IWC big pilot, but of course it's affordable, it's automatic, it gets a sapphire crystal. Let's flip the camera and take a look at the new HAWKER Hurricane Automatic. So this is a very large watch, but it is a pilot's watch. It's meant to be a functional tool watch, and they are definitely taking a lot of inspiration from the IWC big pilot, which I have to say is a watch that I've always had on my radar, but I've been a little bit concerned that I would not wear it because it's so large. And the idea of getting one here for review that is sort of affordable and it looks a lot like that watch, it gives me the opportunity to actually try it out. That's one of the reasons why I like brands like AVI-8 and other brands that make sort of homage watches to some pretty awesome watches. And this is a really good looking watch. It's not like other AVI-8s that are very, very busy, even though this is still very busy and it has tons of details. From far away, you don't really notice all those little details that they put on the dial, and there are a lot. I'm gonna go through some of them. And it looks good. It actually looks like a uniform design, and then when you get closer, you have those little details to enjoy. So quickly, I'm going to go through some of the dial details. Obviously, there is a texture to the dial. It's hard to see. This is the blue version, so you get a blue dial, orange accents, and then you have a blue leather strap with some vintage style detailing on there. Now, the dial is textured. That texture is a camouflage. So when you look very closely, it's sort of stamped into the dial. Then you have an outer track. That outer track is sort of sitting on top of the dial, and then there are indices applied to that outer track. Those are little blocks of lume, and then you of course have the inner portion of the outer track, I guess you could call it. There's sort of another track that goes around, and that has the indices actually sitting on top of that. Those are very large blocks of lume. So you have a lot of lume on this watch. You have sword hands. Those are filled with lume as well. We'll do a lume shot at the end. Now, the first detail I want to point out is the French flag at the 12 o'clock. So of course you have the triangle with the two dots, but right above that there is a French flag. I'll do a close-up of it so you can see what I'm talking about. Below the 12 o'clock index, it says AVI-8, of course. Then you have the hand stack, and then you have the airplane counterbalance on the orange second hand. Below that is the word, or basically the marking, JX, and then there's a rondelle B. Now that rondelle has the specific coloring. It's like orange, blue, and red of the rondelle that should be put over camouflage. So if this was non-camouflage, this was just a flat color, black or something like that, or green, that would be the, I believe, blue, red, and don't correct me if I'm wrong, but I think white, blue, and red or something like that. This one is the specific one that should be over camouflage. That JXB actually refers to the plane that this watch is inspired by. Also, this is inspired by a specific person, Arthur Taffy CLOWES. Obviously, that is in the name. He flew a Hurricane Mark, I think it's a Mark 1 P3395 JX-B. So instead of a dash, they put that rondelle. Just below that, you have the date. That little date window has a little surround around it. It's kind of floating in between the portions of the dial. I'm not a huge fan of the date, obviously. I always prefer a no date. I think this could do without a date because the dial is already a little bit busy when you get up close. And then below that, you have the 30. And then below that, below the track, there's actually another little detail, and that just says in omnibus principles. And that is basically first in all things in Latin or French. I believe it is Latin. Pretty cool. So there's a lot of little details here that if you look really closely, you're gonna see, especially that camo detail. You really can't see it very, very well. Then you get a sapphire crystal. Sapphire crystal is domed. It does distort really, really well. You get a giant crown on here. Let's do measurements so you can see what I'm talking about. But this is a 46 millimeter watch, so it's 45.5 millimeters. Basically in line with what a big pilot would be from IWC, a modern big pilot. They're around that size. 13.5 millimeters thick. This is an automatic watch. It has an NH 15 inside. I actually popped the back to check it out because I wasn't entirely sure what movement it is. It's not an NH35, and it's an NH15, and that means it does not hack, so definitely keep that in mind. But considering the price, I don't really think it's that big of a deal. The crown on here is 9.2 millimeters. Obviously, a big pilot, a big crown. It makes absolute sense. And then, of course, the lug-to-lug. A big lug-to-lug on here because this is a big watch of 55.9 millimeters. So a very big lug-to-lug, but it's in a, there's no effective lug-to-lug because obviously you have a normal strap on here that is not molded. The strap is actually very nice. You sort of have creases on the side. This is a blue, like a royal blue color. It's black on the other side, and it obviously tapers really nicely like a pilot's strap. And then you have a nice milled AVI-8 buckle. That's it. Price on this, I think they're going to be asking $365, but I think if you sign up to actually purchase this watch during their pre-order period, you can get it for like $275, and then they always offer 20% off. So if you miss that 25% off, you can get the 20% off. So they always offer discounts, and you could definitely get this well under $300 at all times. So if you like it, then of course, definitely grab one. You do get a screwed in case back, obviously no screwed in crown, and it does hand wind even though it does not hack, and I'll show you it does not hack there. But that's really probably my only complaint about this watch, considering the price. I think that the detailing, well, I also would go away with the date. That's the other thing I would probably complain about. And they use a lot of aviation inspiration to make these things, and there's a lot of details there if you're interested in that sort of thing. This is not for someone who doesn't like little details and a slightly busy dial, if we're going to be completely honest. Anyway, very quickly, let me throw it on my wrist, and then we will do a quick lume shot because I believe the lume should be good on here considering the size of the indices. I have not checked that out yet, though. Here we go. Today I am wearing another pretty awesome vintage inspired watch. This is from Sujus, and this is a sort of a Zenith Revival Homage. And it's obviously a vintage homage, so they reissued a revival of the I think it was the 386 or something like that. I don't remember the exact number, and they made an homage of that watch. This is a green dial with a green fabric strap. This thing is awesome, and also gets a hand wound movement inside, which is pretty awesome as well. So very quickly, the big pilot, or it's not a big pilot, but it looks like a big pilot to me, and it's called the HAWKER Hurricane, and here it is on my 7.5-inch wrist. You can see this wears very large on my wrist, but the point of this watch is that it is large. You could use this while flying, and you can actually operate this with flight gloves on. The crown, that's the whole point of this watch. It's a big crown, big pilot, very legible. Look down at a glance. You're in a dogfight, you need to time something, whatever it might be when you're flying a plane, and I don't know all of those circumstances, but obviously you need something that's functional, legible, and easy to use. And there you go, that's what this is. That's it. And there's a reason why it's this big. It does look big on my wrist, but again, it's functional. So very quickly, a lume shot. So for sub $300, the lume does not disappoint. In fact, those are solid blocks of lume on there. They did a really good job with the lume, and even that little flag at the 12 o'clock, at the index above the 12 o'clock index, that is also lume, that little flag. I don't think that the red and blue portions are, but the white portion is. So they didn't skimp at all. They did a really good job with the lume on here. Very good looking watch, large pilot's watch. If you could pull it off, it's actually pretty affordable, under $300. I really do think this is a nice watch for under $300. I wish they used an NH35, and I wish that they used or did a no date version of this. I think it would look better, and then of course you would get that hacking function, which is kind of important, and really pretty cool. And declutter the dial a little bit by removing that date. I think that's probably would be a good move. But all in all, I think they did a good job. The hands are obviously less applied with lume than the indices. The indices are pretty liberally applied, especially considering the sub $300 price point. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. What do you think of this watch? What do you think of AVI-8? I know a lot of their watches are busy. This one, not as busy. Still could use a little bit less on the dial, but I think they executed this pretty well. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It is super helpful for the channel and I very much appreciate it. Please follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is WatchChrisBlog, all one word. I have some links in the description. Those links are to Amazon. If you click those links and buy anything, it helps support the channel. It doesn't cost you anything extra. However, I very much appreciate it. Anyway, thank you for logging on. I'll catch you guys in the next video.